I can't say that I expected to make this video or that I really wanted to, but I think, obviously, everybody expects me to, and I do have an opinion on it, so let's just get going into it. For those of you who don't know me, yeah, I'm a New York Mets fan. That's right, New York Mets. Since the day I was born, 22 years of being a Mets fan, and we made a move today that I really don't care for. It makes the team better, but it's definitely not the top move on my list that I hoped or wanted the Mets to make. Now, the Mets made a move today that I don't really particularly like. It's not something that gets me excited. I hope that I'm wrong. I obviously want to see this player succeed, but my initial reaction is just meh. Like I even tweeted out meh, because that's exactly how I feel. One thing I will say is my phone has been nonstop buzzing since this move happened. Twitter, @DraftNetMark, Snapchat, Luwiener, Instagram, DraftNetGaming, all that stuff's in the description. You can add me on there. But it's been going crazy since the move has happened. Now, for those of you who don't know how to read titles or haven't been checking on Twitter, ESPN, any of that kind of stuff, you might be wondering what move exactly I'm talking about. So, the New York Mets have signed Todd Frazier for 2 years, $17 million pending his physical. He's obviously probably going to pass, which means that Todd Frazier will now be the third baseman of the New York Mets. Like I said earlier, my initial reaction was meh. I really can't think of a better word than meh, because that is such a meh Mets move to get Todd Frazier. I was coming back from working on a project with one of the groups that I have in one of my classes for college, and I check my phone and I see it, and I'm like, this is just, meh. I mean, get in the comment section below. How many times am I going to say meh this video? I think it's going to be about 30, because it's just, I feel so meh. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not crazy about the Todd Frazier move. There's a bunch of different reasons as to why I'm not crazy about it. We'll get going into all of these. But first, we'll talk about why the move was made, why it makes sense for the Mets, and why it is technically an improvement on the team. So, the Mets. They need a third baseman badly. They need either a third baseman or a second baseman, because Asdrubal was going to be one of those two, and then the other position was kind of going to be a platoon situation. So they needed a third base or second baseman, and right now the third base market is a lot deeper than the second base market. Second base-wise, the Mets were looking at Neil Walker, who they could sign or trade for Josh Harrison, and at third base, there's a bunch of guys, Eduardo Nunez, Mike Moustakas, Todd Frazier, just to name the top three. So they got their third baseman, Todd Frazier. Now, it makes sense because, like I said, the Mets need a third baseman. He's a power-hitting right-handed bat, which the Mets kind of lack in their lineup. He's a pretty solid fielder. He's not a Gold Glover, but he's also not bad in the field. It's his position. He plays there. And supposedly, he's a good clubhouse guy, which, you know, we've had a lot of good clubhouse guys in the past. We've had Granderson, who was a really good clubhouse guy. We have Reyes now, who's a good clubhouse guy. It's just, I don't like signing guys because they're good clubhouse people, unless they're getting to a small contract like Reyes or something like that. I don't like throwing $8.5 million a year at a guy that's a clubhouse guy. Now, Todd Frazier's not a bad player. It's just he's not a top 10 third baseman in my opinion. Just off the top of my head, I can probably name about 10 third basemen that are better than him. And it's just, he doesn't get me excited. Meh is how I feel about him. He doesn't hit for average. His highest average was 273 in 2014, his All-Star season. Ever since then, it's gone down 20 points, went down another 30 points, went down another 15 points. So he's about a 220 hitter at best. And for me, I understand home runs are like kind of the new way of baseball's being played. Swing out of your shoes. It's all about home runs. But me, I'm about guys that hit for average. They're situational hitters. They're smart hitters. I don't like strikeouts. Those are wasted at bats. Nothing positive comes out of a strikeout. I know that, like, you know, hitting home runs is the way to go. It's the quickest way to score runs. You hit a home run, it's an automatic home run. You get guys on base, you may not necessarily be scoring. But that's just not the way I play baseball. That's not the way I played baseball. That's not the way I like to watch baseball. That's not the way I grew up learning baseball. I'm just not a live or die by the home run kind of guy. And if you look in the past, the Mets have been a live or die by the home run team the past couple of years, and they haven't done that well. Now, a lot of people like to talk about the 2016 year that Todd Frazier had, where he had 40 home runs, 98 RBIs, hit 225. That's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen in Citi Field. That's not going to happen with the Mets. He's not a 40 home run a year guy. That's just not his thing. He's 40, 35, 29. He'll probably hit about 25 to 30 home runs for us, but that 200 average is a killer. I would much rather see 20 home runs and a 280 average. So much more. You're just not going to get that with Todd Frazier. You're going to get a lot of strikeouts. You're going to get a lot of power. The dude is strong. The dude has a ton of power. So a lot of strikeouts, ton of power. You're going to get a pretty good glove in the field, and you're going to get a good clubhouse guy, supposedly. And he's local New Jersey guy. like me. So those are all the positives for Todd Frazier. Now I'm going to go into why I don't like the move for Todd Frazier. Also, apologies if you guys thought I was going to be screaming and yelling about this one. I'm, like I said, meh is how I feel. I'm not angry because the Mets are better with him, but I'm not happy. You know, it's when your parents, you screw up in school or they catch you like sneaking out of the house or something, and they said, Mark, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed in you. That's exactly how I feel with the Mets right now. I'm not angry, but I'm disappointed in them. I'm meh. So, main reason why Todd Frazier is not my favorite move that they've made is because there's two other guys at the position that I would have much rather had them get. Eduardo Nunez being the second most and Mike Moustakas being number one. Or I honestly would have rather had them go get a second baseman and keep Asdrubal at third base. So let's just go compare Todd Frazier to Eduardo Nunez. Let's compare him to Mike Moustakas. We can also compare him to... should we compare him to the second baseman? I don't know. We'll see how I feel after talking about this. But Eduardo Nunez, I personally like the guy. He hits for average. He's quick. He's a leadoff hitter. Decent glove, can play all over the place in the field. He can play short. He can play third. He can play second. He can play the corner outfield a little bit. Not that we necessarily need it, but he could if we wanted to. Now, his last 2 seasons in the major leagues have been pretty decent. 2017, he bounced around from a couple different teams. Hit .313 batting average, .341 on base, .460 slugging, 801 OPS. His OPS plus was 110, so that's above average. He hit 12 homers, 58 RBIs. Only struck out 54 times, which I love. I absolutely love the guy, puts the ball in play. Only walked 18, which is the big knock on Eduardo Nunez. But again, if he's not striking out a lot, I don't care that he's not walking a lot because he's trying to get hits and driving runs. Because at the end of the day, walks, you got a man on base and you walk, that's not going to drive in a run. You get a hit, that's going to drive in a run. So just keep that in mind. I know walks are good. I'm not saying they're bad. I just prefer hits. And this is all in 114 games. He had 146 hits in 467 at-bats. So, 313. That's a nice slash line there. Like I said, Todd Frazier, you get more power, 27 homers. RBIs was only 20 more with 15 more homers. So, take that for what it is. Average-wise, 213. That's a full 100 points lower. He struck out 125 times as opposed to Nunez's 54 times, so that's 75 more strikeouts, basically. He walked 83 times, which is 70 more than Eduardo Nunez, so his on-base percentage is actually higher than Eduardo at 344. But again, like I said, on-base percentage, not my biggest concern, although he is a leadoff hitter. There's other things that go into it. Again, I prefer a guy that hits for average over a guy that doesn't hit for average and gets on base, especially when Todd Frazier is going to be hitting like sixth in our lineup, so... Congrats, you're gonna walk for Travis d'Arnaud and Dominic Smith. In regards to slugging, okay, didn't even realize this. Eduardo Nunez had a higher slugging percentage than Todd Frazier. Todd Frazier 428. Eduardo Nunez was a 460 slugging percentage. OPS, Todd Frazier was 772. Eduardo Nunez was 801. I mean, the guy's just better. The guy's just a better third baseman, a better player, a better fit for the Mets. This is the guy that I thought they were going to get. I thought for sure they were going to be able to get Eduardo Nunez, but that's not the case. And honestly, I know money doesn't really matter because you're a big market. Stop spending like such a small market. But I think they could have gotten Eduardo Nunez for cheaper. You're telling me 2 years, $15 million, you couldn't have gotten Eduardo Nunez? I don't think that's... Even 3 years, 25 basically comes out to the same as Todd Frazier's contract. I think that's a very doable contract for Eduardo Nunez. Unless he doesn't want to play in New York, I think he would have taken it. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like the Todd Frazier one is Eduardo Nunez. But then let's go to the guy that I wish the Mets would go and spend money on so badly, Mike Moustakas. Now I'm going to come out and say it here. I'm a little Mike Moustakas biased. He's Greek. I'm Greek as well, so I'm always repping my Greek boys. In fact, let me show you my Moustakas bias real quick. That's right. I've got a Mike Moustakas jersey. So I think to say that I wanted this guy was a little bit of an understatement, but there's a reason. He's good. So, Mike Moustakas, the guy I wanted the most. Go through his last few years. So, we go to 20... Oh, that was Todd Frazier's number. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, we go to 2016. 2016, he hit 240. He only played in 7 games. So, actually, let's go to 2015, because that was the last second season he really played. So, 2015, he was an all-star. 22 homers, 82 RBIs, 284 average. Got on base on a 348%. 470 slugging, 817 OPS, 119 OPS plus. Doesn't strike out a lot, 76 times, walked 43 times. And he's also a pretty good fielder, Mike Moustakas. He's pretty decent out there. And then in 2017, he had a career year, 38 homers, 38 RBIs. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to leave that in. I might. Struck out 94 times, which is a little bit higher, but still less than Todd Frazier. 34 walks, which is less. 272 average, 314 on base, 521 slugging, 835 OPS. Again, back to Todd Frazier. Hit 213, Moustakas is higher than him. On base percentage, he's higher than Moustakas by about 30 points. But again, Moustakas, I don't want you getting on base. I want you driving in runs. And you know how you drive in runs? You hit the baseball. So boom. Power-wise, Moustakas is even if maybe not better. But we'll go ahead and say even because Todd Frazier has had more years of bigger home run numbers than Moustakas. But they're probably even. When you go to the slugging percentage, Moustakas 521, Frazier 428. Okay. OPS 772 for Frazier, Moustakas 835. It's just such a Mets move to be like, we're going to spend a little bit of money, but we're not going to go for it fully. We're just going to be like, this is good enough, because technically it's still an upgrade, although it's not the best that we could get. Like, we're a New York team. Can you spend like we're a New York team? Go get the best fucking players. Now I'm getting mad, because now the more and more I think about it, Todd Frazier, nothing against you. I'm sure you're a great guy. I'm sure you're going to have a fine season. I really hope you do. I want the Mets to play well, so you playing well helps me out. But, God, Mets, the Wilpons, spend money. Please, spend money. Don't just spend a little bit of money. Go spend that extra $8 million a year. Go get Moustakas. The fans are going to come into the seats. They're going to watch the games. You're going to make the money back. You know how you make money? You got to spend money to make money. That's how it works in this world. Very few people don't spend a lot of money and end up making a big amount. You got to spend money to make money. And the Mets just don't want to do that because the Wilpons, they suck. There's nothing else around them. They're just bad. Ah, man, I didn't really want to get worked up, but the more and more I look at it, the more and more Todd Frazier is such the third option and is such a Mets signing. The dude on Barstool KFC said it best. The Mets are just such a blah team, and this is such a blah signing. And you know what? That's why we're going to end this video with this. How do I feel? Meh.